Hello and welcome to another episode of LGR Play. As always, I'm your host Mark Hamer, and joining me today is a fellow demon hunter, Nick Case. Hello, Nick.
Hello, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. So we've been playing video games. Specifically, we've been playing Diablo 3. Even more specifically, been playing Diablo 3 on the Switch. Which is something I never thought I'd say, playing a Blizzard dungeon crawling game on a handheld Nintendo system. Is this the first time a Blizzard game's been on a Nintendo system?
Hang on. It might be, no?
Didn't StarCraft get ported to N64 or something like that?
Maybe. It's before my time. I'm still too young.
Oh my god. StarCraft was ported to N64, but I imagine that was pretty rough, trying to control a fast-paced RTS with that controller. Diablo 3, that game's getting on a bit now. Came out in 2012 originally on Windows and OS X, and then in 2013 they ported it to PS3 and Xbox 360, and then only a year later, they ported it to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And then finally in November, we got the Nintendo Switch version, which, despite the fact that the Xbox One, at least on the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro, Diablo 3 runs at like 4K and everything, whatever. The Switch version still looks pretty damn good, whilst also running at 60 frames a second, even in handheld mode. Which is kind of crazy. I've actually ended up playing that game in handheld mode more than I've been playing it docked, just because it's just great to just pick up and, run through a challenge rift or whatever in like 10 minutes. Or knock off a few bounties or whatever. I honestly think this is probably my favourite of all the versions of Diablo 3, having not played the PC version. Did you play the PC version at all?
I did. I got it when it was first released, and obviously there was all the errors and you couldn't play it and the servers were in meltdown. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't a great experience right off the bat. But even
the auction house as well.
Yeah, the auction house for real money, and it screwed everything over. But it was an okay game. The problem with Diablo 3 when it first released was the same problem that Destiny and Destiny 2 have, in that when you finished the game, that was it. There's no end game. And I think it's something that Blizzard should have known better, really. They've been doing World of Warcraft for God knows how many years, especially even when Diablo 3 came out. And they should really know that you need an end game in a game like Diablo.
Well, at that point, they'd been doing Diablo 2 for 12 years.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, they'd had so many years of experience, you kind of question why they did it. It can only be that they were pressed for time. They had to release that game there and then, and they knew it wasn't ready, which is a pretty bad situation. But it's one of those games that has picked up and turned itself completely around, the same as Destiny did. Destiny 2 did. We'll not talk about Destiny.
I think it was specifically when the Reaper of Souls expansion came out, which is when I jumped on to Diablo 3, because that was the version that came out on the PS4. So that added a whole new act to the campaign, and from what I understand, drastically changed the end game.
Yeah, it changed everything, and of course they've added more expansions since then that have added even more and more content, and all of them are in the Switch version in just one download, which is really nice. It's just nice to get one complete package on a console that is so easy to pick up and play at any point, and I really do think it is the superior version. I've not played it too much on the PlayStation 4. But I would take the 60 frames a second in handheld mode over shiny 4K any day for that kind of a game. It's all about how it plays and feels, and the thing that as well they've added in the console games, you can roll using the right thumbstick. You can do a roll. That wasn't actually in the PC version. They added that specifically for consoles to make it feel good to play on a console.
Yeah, and there's other change, or like when the Reaper Souls expansion came out, they included the Crusader character. I think that was the first time that character had been in there. because I remember people who had played Diablo on the PC saying that they felt like the Crusader character was felt like it had been built to play on a pad. Rather than with a mouse and keyboard. And so I've got absolutely no experience of playing this game with a mouse and keyboard. I've played similar games to it. Well, similar in that I play a lot of Heroes of the Storm, and that's not a million miles away from Diablo in the way that it controls and everything.
Yeah.
But it just feels so natural to play on a controller that I can't imagine playing it on a keyboard and mouse.
No.
Even playing in handheld mode on the Switch with those tiny little sticks and those tiddly little buttons, it's just yeah, it feels so good to play. And it's so, well, we talked a lot about it, but if anybody hasn't ever played a Diablo game, it's basically just a loot, it's just a dungeon crawler where you kill things and get more loot, and then you become more powerful so you can kill more powerful things so you get more loot, and then you just keep going up through the ridiculous difficulty levels. It's normal, hard, expert, and then torment, and then torment 1, torment 2, all the way up to torment 13, I think it is the top one.
Somewhere around there,
yeah. And it's one of those games where there is a campaign in there, but nobody really cares about it or the story, to the point when the Switch version came out, I quite liked how from the off you could just skip the campaign and go straight into adventure mode and just get straight into the end game content with a fresh character that you hadn't even leveled, so you could level up in the sort of end game content in a weird sort of way. When you get to the end, there's just there's bounties to do in each of the acts. There's rifts to run, challenge rifts to run. There seem to be running events, on a fairly regular basis. So, at the moment, there is the Darkening of Tristram, I think it's called, which is an event they've run before. I think at least a couple of years ago, maybe before then, where basically you go through a portal and the game turns into Diablo 2. They change the way that your the character animations and the graphics and everything, so it looks like you're playing Diablo 2, and you're doing some challenges and stuff that are associated with Diablo 2 that I'm sure fans of that game will find great. I never played it, so I don't know. It's just a nice little novelty in a way to unlock some new stuff. But for a game that has only had 2 expansions in 7 years, getting on for 7 years, there's a hell of a lot of stuff to do in there.
There is, yeah. I mean, like you say, the main loop of the game is just you crawl through a dungeon, you kill things, get loot, and then do it again and again and again on increasingly hard difficulty levels. But they've really, especially with the seasonal content, they've added so much that they didn't have to. When they sorted the end game out, people were quite satisfied with it. But now they're doing more and more things that are just one-offs, like you say, the Darkening of Tristram. It's just more content. It's become, they've taken this very much static game that was just a big random number generator, and they've just added ongoing content to it, and it's really become an ongoing game as ongoing games have become more and more of a thing. I mean, we talk about gaming in 2018 and 2019 now. You've got Destiny, you've got The Division, you've got so many other games, Sea of Thieves. Pretty much every game you play has some kind of ongoing content in it. And Diablo 3 wasn't designed in a time where an ongoing game was kind of a thing, but they've somehow managed to create one of the best ongoing games without meaning to, by complete accident.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say that games like Borderlands and Destiny and The Division and even stuff that's coming out, games like Anthem, I don't think it's hard to say that they wouldn't exist without Diablo, but they definitely owe a lot to Diablo in terms of setting out the groundwork for what that sort of game should be. And to be honest, Diablo still does it better in terms of just this constant loop of fun gameplay and always getting decent loot and always feeling like you're, chipping away at becoming a bit more powerful. It does it better than any of those games that have come after it. It's one of those things. It's a hallmark of Blizzard. Like, with one or two exceptions, they come into a genre that already exists. I'm sure there were dungeon crawlers before Diablo, but Blizzard comes in and they kind of make the best example of that, like they did with Overwatch, like they've done with World of Warcraft and so on. And still, like 7 years after Diablo 3 came out, like we're a whole 2 generations past then, and it's still the best of that sort of game.
It is. I mean, the only one I can think that comes close is it Path of Exile on the PC and Xbox One?
Yeah, Path of Exile is unabashedly, though, a Diablo game.
It is, yeah. It's a complete rip-off of Diablo.
But a lot less accessible. Like, if you ever... All you need to do is, look at a screenshot of the upgrade tree in Path of Exile and see that it's nowhere near as accessible, I feel, as Diablo. I've heard really, really good things about that. It's free to play, but not aggressively so. So, apparently you can play that for hundreds of hours without putting a penny into it. And I'll definitely check that out. But at the same time, I just keep on going back to Diablo. I've already put 30 or 40 hours into the Switch version since I got it. I jumped straight in with because when I stopped playing it on PS4, they hadn't actually added in the season stuff into the console version, so I'd never played a season before. So when I picked it up on Switch and there was season there, I jumped straight in and created a season character, played as a necromancer because I hadn't done that before, leveled that character to 70, and then did as many of the challenges, the season challenges as possible, got a full set of end game armor and everything. And then since then I've just been dabbling and trying to level a couple of other characters and trying out some new builds that I haven't ever done before. Because that's one of the good things about this is if you're playing Destiny, for instance, there's not a huge difference in the way that a hunter that two hunters play. You can have different setup with your equipment and different supers and whatnot, but there's not a huge difference in how two hunter players will play in Destiny. But in Diablo, if you've got there seems to be but it's a lot more variation in how a particular character class will play depending on your build and what powers you pick, dramatically so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with say something like the Witch Doctor and the Wizard, and the monk, from what I understand as well. There's quite a lot of variation in how those characters will play depending on the loadout, and so there's almost an infinite amount of things to do in that game, because you can just keep on changing up the build of your character, what powers you've got equipped, what equipment you've got, and completely changing the way that character plays. And there's a decent number of characters to play anyway. So there's barbarian, monk, crusader,
wizard,
necromancer, witch doctor. So I can't remember. There's 7 or 8 different characters, and then each of those characters has just so many different varied ways of playing. And then there is sort of the characters can work together as well. I haven't actually played Diablo 3 multiplayer on the Switch yet. I used to play it a lot with friends on the PS4. But there's a lot of synergy between certain characters as well. So the way that you run depending on which characters your friends are running with completely changes up the game as well. And you get to the point where you've got a loadout and a build that you're comfortable with, and you've got a couple of friends running with you and they've got a loadout and a build that they're comfortable with, and you're running through on Torment 7 or 8 Challenge Rift and just absolutely smashing it. Enemies are dead before you even see them spawn. It's so much fun, utter chaos. And I think it's credit to Iron Galaxy that they've managed to put all of that chaos into this Switch port of Diablo 3 without the frame rate. Have you ever seen the frame rate stutter on that?
No, in a word.
Me neither.
It's smooth as anything. Even when there's hundreds of enemies running at you, I've never seen it stutter at all whatsoever. Yeah. It's an incredible port.
Yeah. Like, running around as a necromancer with, like, a big flesh golem thing and a horde of skeletal soldiers and then spectral mages and then all of the enemies and all of the explosions and all of the effects of their, their abilities and whatnot kicking off. And it's like, it never, no slowdown or anything like that at all. It's a technical marvel that they managed to get that working on a handheld system, essentially a handheld system with a mobile processor, a powerful mobile processor, but still, it's kind of crazy. What's your favourite character to play as?
I still like the Wizard. It's the first one I played on PC. I've toyed with others. I've been the Witch Doctor. I've tried the Necromancer, but the Wizard is still my favourite. It's what I main. If maining is a thing.
Cannon. Like the Wizard, I think is the most squishy, but also has the potential for the highest DPS of any of the characters, probably.
Yeah. It's a nice. I don't want to say mid-range, but you can go either way with the Wizard. You can support if you're doing multiplayer, or you can just go all out attack on everything. Yeah. And especially, one thing I have noticed about the Switch port is it seems to be a lot easier than the PC version, or at least the PC version was back in the day. I don't know if it's something that they've tuned over the years, but running through the campaign, I haven't died much on the Switch version at all. Whereas on the PC version, even on just hard, I remember dying a lot.
Not going through the campaign, no. I didn't have any problems dying. I did reach a point where I was desperately trying to finish off the last season challenge on one of the chapters I was trying to do, and then it needed to do a level 20 Greater Rift. Level 20 Challenge Rift, sorry, which was at Torment, I think it was at level Torment 5 or Torment 6. And I got level 70 Necromancer and a loadout I felt reasonably comfortable with, but I didn't have any set items or anything like that, so I wasn't getting any massive perks, and I was getting absolutely crushed doing that. So once you get into some of the endgame stuff, and if you push push the difficulty up a little bit too far for the quality of items that you've got, then you'll be punished for sure. But then I ran through the Darkening of Tristram the first time on Torment 3, and even the bosses were kind of dead before I even really knew they were there. So it depends, but at Torment 3, there's still another 10 difficulty levels above that for me to play with. So I reckon if you push it up there, it could be a real challenge for sure. I still would be very wary about running a hardcore character. That is one of the two. There's only 2 trophies I had left to get on the PS4 version of Diablo. There was the one for doing however many bounties it was, 5,000 or something ridiculous like that. And the other one was for reaching. It wasn't just one or more trophy. It was a series of trophies, but they were all linked, and it was reaching level 70 and beating all of the bosses with a hardcore character. And for anyone who's watching who doesn't know, a hardcore character basically means if you die, that character is deleted, and you have to start again from the beginning. So I'm still absolutely terrified about trying that, and I don't know if I ever will.
Just make a random throwaway character you don't care about, become attached to it by accident, and then watch him get murdered.
Yeah,
and never see him again.
I will end up getting quite attached to that character, and I don't think you can change a hardcore character to a regular character or vice versa.
No, you can't.
After the fact, so that was it. That character would then just even if I managed to reach level 70, that character would then sit in the menus and never be played with again for fear of them being lost. It's a fantastic game. And I was saying this is probably the best port if you've got a Switch. I mean, it's. Unless you can get it on offer, the entry price is still quite a lot for a game that is essentially 7 years old. It retails at about 50 quid. But at the same time, it's the best version of that game. It's everything that's ever been included in that game.
It is, and looking at the price on the PlayStation Store, it's still 55 quid there. So, they bring it down for sales, but 55 quid, I'm sure you can get a better price for it, obviously.
Yeah.
But for everything included, Switch, no-brainer if you've got one.
Yeah, I paid nearly full price for it, and I have no qualms about that whatsoever, even already owning it on another platform, because this is the version that I'm going to be sticking with. This is the version I'm going to be playing for, until they port Diablo 4 onto the Switch at some point.
Diablo Immortal.
Oh, no, let's not talk about that. But yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic game. Like, if you like the idea of just like mindlessly trashing enemies in dungeons and getting loot, like always getting loot, watching those numbers go up. If you like a game where the numbers go up, then Diablo's probably for you.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think this version in particular is great for lapsed gamers because you can sit and play it for hours and hours on end. Or you can just knock out a bounty in like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
And every time you do, you're making some progress. You're going to get some loot. You're getting some experience towards, increasing your Paragon levels or whatever. It's again, it goes back to what I was saying about Fortnite on the podcast the other week. It's no matter what you do, you always feel like you're progressing. You're getting some more gold. You're getting a bit more loot. You're getting more stats towards something. And again, the Switch, you can just pick it up for 5 minutes while you're watching TV and the adverts come on. It's really... it's the wonder of the Switch. And you've got to wonder... I mean, this is getting more down another rabbit hole, but you've got to wonder what Sony and Microsoft's response to the Switch is going to be. If they bring something more Vita-ish out again, or because I have a hard time turning my PlayStation on, watching it boot, loading the updates, and then finally getting into the game maybe 5 minutes after I've picked the controller up, and then I don't want to play, and then I have to decide what to play. Yeah. By which time I've lost interest, which is why I've played so much on Switch this year. It's instant. It's there. Yeah. I mean, if they manage to find a way to port Destiny 2, Monster Hunter World, and Overwatch onto the Switch, then I'll just sell my PlayStation there and then. Yeah, Diablo 3, fantastic game. Check it out. If you got a Switch, then get it on the Switch.
Definitely.
And rot. The Rift Guardian has come.
So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then do hit that like and subscribe buttons and hit the little bell so you get notifications when a new episode goes out. Remember to check out the podcasts. You can find us on iTunes and on Podbean. It's called Lapsed Gamer Radio. You can go to our website, lapsedgamer.com, and check out our top 10 games of 2018, or top 10 games we played in 2018 lists. And whatnot. If you wanted to send us an email, do so at lapsedgamerradio@gmail.com, and of course you can find us on Twitter at lapsedgamer. So yeah, thanks for watching. Nick, thanks for joining and chatting about Diablo.
No problem, anytime.
And we'll catch you on the next episode of LGR Play. Goodbye.
Bye.